Welcome to the Soul Mirror. I'm your host, Shreya. Today on the Soul Mirror, I'm joined by Allen Imbarrato, an entrepreneur, mindfulness teacher, and innovator who has spent over 5 decades exploring personal transformation from his years in an ashram to leading corporate seminars, building a global software company, and now creating KiFlow, an app that helps people shift stress into clarity. Alan's journey shows how ancient wisdom and modern technology can come together to transform the way we live and work. So, welcome, Alan. I'm honored to have you on my show.
Well, thank you for having me.
And Alan, you have walked an incredible path from meditation in an ashram to business leadership. How has stress shown up differently in those two worlds?
Well, you know, s- stress is sort of part of our programming of our survival brain. We all have these stress response systems, which were originally designed for fight or flight or freeze on physical threats. But now, most of the time, we're triggered by social threats. So, in a work situation, if you're afraid of losing a client or you're afraid of someone judging you or criticizing you or someone making you wrong or abusing you, it makes you feel threatened. Your stress response system wants to protect you. And so it goes into a similar fight, flight, or freeze reaction as if you were being attacked by a lion or a tiger that it was originally designed for.
Yes, that is so beautiful. And thank you for sharing this. And did you discover a common thread in how people experience stress no matter their environment?
Well, we all have brains, and we have this thing called the amygdala as part of our brain. And the amygdala is across all cultures. Basically, it's like a security guard or an alarm that goes off whenever you feel slightly threatened. So, if threat, my definition of threat of stress comes when you believe that threat is real, it's going to trigger your stress. So it really doesn't matter what culture you're in or what country you're in. It's how you interpret your reality day to day, whether you feel threatened or not. And then you feel the need to protect yourself by activating your stress response system.
That's so fascinating because it shows stress isn't about where we are, but how we meet what life gives us. And you talk about turning stress into strength. What does that shift actually look like in everyday life?
Well, we have this app called KiFlow. Ki means life energy, Ki, and flow. So a lot of times, most of the time, stress is a subconscious thing. We don't really know what triggers our stress. All of a sudden, we might get sweaty palms or a pain in our neck or our stomach feels queasy, or we might start to feel anxious. Anything could be triggering it, but we don't really know what the trigger is until we start using mindfulness to non-judgmentally inquire what was that all about. So by listening to your body and understanding that stress is a signal, it's not your enemy, but it's a signal of how to become mentally stronger. Because if you're mentally strong, your stress response system is not going to go off. You're living consciously, you're living mindfully. But when we have these old wounds or we have these old uh, limiting beliefs that we're not good enough or we're not pretty enough or we're not smart enough or we're not competent enough, those things are like triggers, and anytime they could just go off during the day. So the idea of turning stress into strength is that you identify what the underlying core belief was, and then you take charge and you reparent yourself or you redesign your beliefs, because most of our beliefs got installed before we were really consciously discerning whether this was a good thing to believe about yourself. So we have to re examine all these beliefs that got programmed before we had a discriminating mind and decide whether we want to continue to believe they're true. So if you believe people don't like you and you had some early experiences where you have lots of evidence that that's true, but maybe as an adult, you've overcompensated and now you're very popular. And all of a sudden, just one day, someone gives you a dirty look or you get a bad email or someone gives you a bad tone of voice and it triggers that feeling, oh my God, people don't like me, and you feel threatened. So the idea of becoming stronger is to own and take responsibility to reprogram yourself so that you become more aware of what you want to believe about yourself is, and you begin to redesign that belief and say, I'm safe. Doesn't matter what other people think about me. I'm okay just the way I am. Something like that will make you stronger. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, definitely. And that gives hope because it turns stress from an enemy into a teacher. And could you like share a personal moment where you felt stress transform into something empowering?
Well, every day I monitor my stress, and anything could be the trigger. But what I like, for instance, if I run a software company, and software tends to sometimes have bugs. Have you heard about that?
Hmm.
So if a client calls me up and is complaining that their software doesn't work, if I take it personally, I have to defend my software. I have to find a way to either blame it was the user that was really causing this. It's not my software. I want to get defensive. I want to try to deflect, and so it wasn't my fault, or I'm not to blame. But if I'm really just aware, I really just want my client to be satisfied. I want my client to be happy. I don't want to blame them. I don't want to try to find. Uh, I want to find the solution to the problem. So by monitoring my stress and not going into a reaction, I'm able to stay calm and present to find a creative solution to that situation rather than going into a defensive posture. Does that make sense?
Yes, that's wonderful. And also, we're talking about technology. So, technology often gets blamed for causing stress. Yet, you have created KiFlow to reduce it. How do you see tech becoming a tool for mindfulness rather than distraction?
Yeah, it's true. Just picking up your phone can make you feel stressed, particularly if you go on social media. A lot of times you'll see things and people are engaged in heated discussions, or that sometimes are very judgmental or very abusive, or uh, so technology, you have to be careful. You have to be very discriminating how you use it. But just like anything, it's a tool. It could be used for good or it could be used for bad. I mean, a gun could be used to hurt someone, but a gun could also be used to protect yourself. So technology is the same way. Uh, it really requires taking responsibility for your higher purpose, or knowing what your higher purpose is. If you're committed to growing yourself, and you're committed to mastering yourself, or you're committed to becoming a conscious, aware person, then you could see flow as a tool to help you become aware of what is triggering your stress. I mean, we're all involved in these, what I call survival strategies, like four main survival strategies that I identify that all stem from how you're handling approval and control. Some people are seeking approval at one moment, next minute you're avoiding being disapproved of, or one minute you're trying to stay in control or dominate some situation, another time you're trying to avoid being controlled. So these strategies are always going on as a product of your ego just trying to survive But underneath, you have this true self. You have this authentic self that doesn't really feel the need to get approval or control other people. It just wants to be. Like, primarily we're human beings first, but we forget about the beingness and we get caught up in the doingness. And the opportunity of this app is to ask you a certain questions, and it uses AI to do it in a very personalized way that you can feel safe, that it's like you're completely anonymous and you can be vulnerable and you can open up in such a way that you can get insights. So in that way, the technology provides a very rich environment for you to grow stronger as a person by being engaged in a process of self-inquiry to get deeper into yourself and discover things that you didn't even know you were thinking. And then once you have that awareness, then you can have control to shift those thoughts.
It's it's exciting to see innovation used not to drain us but to help us reconnect ourselves. And many people think they need to eliminate stress altogether. Why do you believe stress can actually be useful?
Well, there's positive stress and there's negative stress. I mean, the whole idea is of your response system is to arise to a challenge. So when you're faced with a challenge, it increases your blood flow to your muscles, and your strength and your awareness heightens so that you can perform sometimes at a higher level. Especially, if I play sports, or I play tennis, or I play golf, or I play pickleball, sometimes that stress response system is helpful in heightening my performance. Okay, but the problem is it's like a dog sees a threat. It's like my dog. It's like the UPS man or or someone comes to the door, and their job is to protect, so they start barking. But it's like soon as that uh, person reveals themselves, and then they see it's a friendly person, then they stop. But the problem is that our stress response system doesn't go off anymore. Rarely, it's constantly on guard, and so it's releasing this cortisol and creating this inflammation, which leads to chronic stress, and chronic disease is usually caused by chronic stress. So all the major causes of major illnesses are a result of your stress response system not turning off. So it can do, originally it was designed to turn on and turn off. But if you become aware of your stress and see it as a signal as a teacher, then you can nip it in the bud before it becomes chronic. And then you can use your adrenaline and you can use the cortisol in a positive way rather than a negative way. I don't know. Are you following me on this?
Yes, definitely, definitely. And that's such a powerful reframe. It's not about removing stress, but learning it to channel it wisely. And like also after 50 years of studying and teaching mindfulness, what is the single most important lesson that you have learned about resilience?
Well, the most important lesson is that we're okay in our authentic self, that we're already there is this peace, there is this calm, there is this uh, awareness that exists inside all of us. And ultimately, that's where we are resilient. We go out into the world, but if we know we have this peaceful center of calmness, of awareness, of it's connected to the universe, that is like an infinite energy that resides, that we can be connected to a source energy, then you have a confidence in going out and meeting challenges in the world, but you know you have some place to come back to revitalize yourself, to support yourself, to uh, experience love of yourself, that all those things already exist. You don't have to do anything, you don't have to prove yourself. It's an innate experience that we all are connected to, but we've gotten disconnected from it. So resilience really is just about reconnecting to that source energy within inside of you.
Yes, that feels like wisdom for our listeners to carry in their own lives. And how do you suggest people begin cultivating that resilience today, even in small ways?
Well, the most important thing is to have a daily practice. I do meditation every day, uh, and yoga. Have some practice of just turning everything off and just being with yourself, whether it's a gratitude practice or journaling or walking by yourself or being in nature. Just have a time in your day where you reconnect with that essence within you and you're not completely wrapped up in responding and reacting to everything, but committing to your own spiritual growth, your own mental and emotional uh, mastery is the most important thing. All these other things will come and go. I mean, when you die, you can't bring your checkbook with you. You can't bring all the things you've gathered, all your possessions. We came with nothing and we leave with nothing. So the most important thing is what we're learning as we're going on this journey. So the more we're aligned to our purpose of growing and learning, um, it'll have a natural resilience every day.
Yes, that's so inspiring. And this is a wonderful conversation with you, like the knowledge, the experiences, the stories you have shared with me and my audience. That is really, really excellent. And if after this my listeners want to connect with you, then what's the best way?
Well, you can go to KiFlow.app. There's a web page, and you can download the app from there in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Again, KiFlow is KIFLW. And you can basically just check it out, a 7-day free trial, and just play with it and see how it might help you uh, manage your stress a little better, to really get insights from your stress rather than trying to get rid of your stress and numb your stress and hope your stress goes away. See stress as an opportunity to grow stronger as a person.
Yes, that is so inspiring. And thank you for sharing this. And I will make sure to attach all these details and links below so that the listeners can find them easily and get in touch with you and listen more from you because you're a wonderful person. And thank you for sharing so much with us. And to all my listener, what an inspiring session with Alan Imbarrato. He has shown that stress doesn't have to trap us. It can guide us towards strength, clarity, and flow. If today's conversation resonated, explore his work with KiFlow and start experimenting with how you meet your own stress. Remember, peace isn't about avoiding pressure, but about discovering the freedom to rise through it. Thank you.